Trying to get it to focus, but I don't want to focus. It's funny, this is the part I drew before. It says cleansing waters, and it is, but it's also a good bit of fire that can be added to this. Purification activates vibrant life force. Did it really just stop? Interesting, it did. What happened? The music just stopped. What is going on? I don't know what's going on, y'all. What happened? I wasn't done jamming out yet. Because you know, we got to start these off with some music. You know what I'm saying? We got to start these off right. Oh, Till Swan is now live on Facebook. Excellent. Shout out to Till Swan, doing amazing work for the community. All kinds of amazing work for the community. How are y'all doing? I wasn't done playing music, but you know what? I'm just going to. You know what's actually funny? The last time I streamed royalty-free music, I got hit with the copyright on my channel. I don't know if I didn't do it right. Like I didn't. So I'm pretty sure I actually put the thing in the description, but I guess I didn't. Don't know what's up with that. But you know, I definitely was streaming royalty-free music, and for some reason I got hit. It wasn't like they didn't take the video down or anything like that. But yeah. Ooh. Sounds like an interesting song. Let's just play this. Oh, it doesn't add because I'm playing this off of YouTube, right?
There's no set path. Not doing what I'm told to do. Excited as the world turns on me. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a rebel. Just not another damn copy of you.
So I guess afterwards, just gotta paste this video description. Or I gotta paste this little part in my video description. So the name of the song is "Dare to Lose," which I think is really, it's really applicable not only for this week, but just in general for the energies right now. I'll let this play for a little bit. What's going on, Steph1710? Thanks for joining.
You think you're in control, only if you've seen the stars fall down. Come and fly with me. Do something crazy.
Oh, that's cool. Thanks, Steph. I appreciate that. Yeah, the talk with the Peace Dealer was amazing. I hope that we can collaborate on videos in the future. I'm sure we are. We'll probably do a bunch of like nerd talk. But that was definitely fun. So, heating up a coffee. I just have a glass of water. Anyways, we'll get into the video soon. I just wanted to play some music, so I like to do that. All right. Title of that song, like I said, was Dare to Lose. And as you can see by the title of this, for this weekly astrology horoscope, even before I get into that, Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love, to Astro Fenixx, flying into the moment yet again and radiating love as always. Welcome to your weekly astrology horoscope. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while. It's supposed to be a weekly thing. Your boy's been slacking. But I'm still pushing out content. How are you all doing? This is the Flames of Purification. We drew the card of cleansing waters in interesting enough. There is a lot of water energy right now. We do have this stellium in Pisces. We have Venus, which is exalted in Pisces. We have Neptune, which is home in Pisces. We also have Mercury, which is still in shadow, although it's coming forward in Pisces. And of course, we have the North Node in Cancer. So we have a decent amount of water energy going on right now. But by the end of the week, we're actually going to get this kick up of fire energy. And not that we don't already have it. We have Chiron in Aries. We have the Sun in Aries, of course, the Sun exalted in Aries. We don't have any Leo energy, but by the end of the week, we will be having this grand fire trine activating. And this will be the first grand fire trine since earlier in the year, but I want to definitely show you all that in the charts. I did write down, of course, wow, look at that. My beads got caught up in my bracelet. I don't know if I ever shown you guys this bracelet, actually. This is a cool bracelet. This is I got this on one of those like online Facebook ads. You'll probably have seen it. It's supposed to be like the planets and stuff, So you have Mercury, Venus, the moon is this little dude right here. We got Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. We got Uranus, Neptune, and then Pluto is purple back here. So, and these are beads that I got from a restaurant that me and my fiance went to for lunch. It's a Louisiana-style restaurant. Really enjoyed it. Had some shrimp and grits. Had a shrimp wrap. Had some grilled vegetables. Too much bread. I admittedly have not been the greatest with my eating habits. That's something that definitely needs to be fixed. The sun will soon be going into my 6th house. I'm kind of using this time to kind of be like, just kind of get out of my system, you know what I mean? Because when the sun goes to my 6th house, coming up here, when it goes into Taurus at 8 degrees, depending upon what system you use, I've been using Equal House lately. If you go by Placidus, it's 17 degrees. But anyways, I'm going to do it earlier because earlier is better. I should really do it right now. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do for this health thing when the sun goes into my 6th house. Probably exercise actually on a consistent basis. Probably not eat as much junk food and shit. I don't eat beef or pork, but I still eat seafood. I still eat chicken. I probably eat too much bread, but bread is just so good. Like, bread is seriously one of my favorite foods. And it sucks that you can't eat bread like that. I don't know what it is. I mean, people used to eat bread all the time. And I guess it also depends on where you're from. Like, I know they eat bread like all the time in like Italy and shit. But you're walking everywhere. Here in America, we're not walking everywhere. That's one issue. Is like here, it's like in other countries, I feel like, especially like Europe, you can eat shittedly, but it's like you don't get as many of the negative repercussions of it because you're walking and biking everywhere. Unless you live in the city, then cool. But I don't live in the city. I live in the suburbs of Atlanta. I need a car. So like, I'm not gonna just walk everywhere. I'm technically close enough to work where I could bike to work, but I have to cross a major highway to do that, and I'm not about that life because people are crazy out here. Yeah. So your boy needs to work on his health. But how are y'all doing? How was your weekend? I had some interesting revelations over the weekend. I had a revelatory dream last night, which resulted in a night terror. I spoke about this on my channel before. Maybe even do like just like a, an actual video dedicated to that. But essentially, I've dealt with this pretty much my whole life from what I can remember, where I will involuntarily scream myself awake. It's involuntary. I can't really control it. The only moment I can kind of control it is either I go lucid within the dream and I'm able to avert different things I know that could potentially trigger it, or if I'm in this state where I'm like about to wake up, but I'm like in between, and I'm almost like I'm just hovering above my body, essentially not a full astral projection, but I'll just be hovering above my body. Then I can maybe mitigate it. The only other times that it works, if I don't scream myself awake and I'm like about to, is if I'm like moaning and groaning in my sleep, and then my fiance nudges me, so that helps. This one was kind of funny only because like she was like, oh, like she wasn't like scared. It was more like it was like she wasn't even like upset. She was like, hey, and it was just weird how it happened. But in the dream, what was interesting, what triggered it in the dream is that there was a bunch of weird stuff that was happening. But I remember myself saying, and I don't think I verbally said it. I think I thought it out loud. Like I just thought it, and my thoughts were so clear and like loud. It was that I screamed to myself, everything I thought was real is a lie. It was something along the lines like that. Everything I thought was truth is a lie. And then there was a part of me that was trying to say, no, it's not. And then like I screamed myself awake. It was so weird. It was so weird. And what was interesting is that like there was something about astrology in my dream. There was something about dragons, and there was something about Capricorn. And that was interesting because I usually associate dragons with Sagittarius, but there was something about dragons and Capricorn that came up, and then it was just weird. It was honestly just pretty damn odd. That being said, I thought about it and I was like, what if everything I thought was true was a lie? Everything I thought was true was a lie. And then like I came back to this question later on in the day today, and I was like, well, if everything I thought was true was a lie, that means nothing is true. No thing is true. So it's like, it's interesting how we like to say in this community that, oh, you're the universe, you're everything, blah, 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 blah. And there's an element of truth to that. But what happens a lot of times is that I will notice that people will take on the karma of other people by saying that. And what I mean is that, I'm incarnated into this vessel, so I'm having this experience, right? And I could, of course, based off of my karma and based off of what I choose to do, I could incarnate into other beings and other places, either here or elsewhere. And I am connected to everything, but to say that I am everything right here in this state actually would be a bit of a farce, because it's like then I'm taking on the karma of other people who are doing things, whether they're in my neighborhood, in my state, in my country, or outside of this country, that are doing things that I otherwise wouldn't do myself. You know what I mean? So I think that's a danger with saying that, oh, you're everything, because it's like, but you're not. You're connected to everything. There's a big difference between being connected to everything and being everything. You know, we're supposedly created in the image of God, right? But, you know, and this is getting to some like this deeper metaphysical stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, I am no thing having an experience where maybe I perceive everything, you know what I mean? Or I feel like I'm connected to everything, but I'm really no thing. You know, that's really what it is, that in order to become something, you have to be no thing. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because it's like, it's weird. I've noticed this. So it's like that dream, you know, I don't know anything about the necessarily the dragon Capricorn stuff. I can kind of get that. My progressed ascendant is like 1 degree of Capricorn right now. So it's like my ascendant natally is Sagittarius, which is more this draconic energy, I feel. But of course, it feeds into a bit of Scorpio, and of course, it feeds into a bit of Capricorn as well. So, anyways, that was my morning. The other thing I realized over the weekend, and I actually made a post about this on my Instagram, is that this came through listening to some songs, and then also when a coworker that a former coworker I used to work with back at a Italian restaurant, he had posted something I saw, last week, maybe like Thursday or Friday, about how he's progressing in his life and stuff, how he got a new job at a really high-end restaurant, and I know that's not what he wants to do forever. He's a DJ and makes music and stuff like that, but he's been doing more of that lately and playing sets and going to clubs. So it's like, but he's still doing what he has to do to get by. And I think that's one of the biggest frustrations that I've had, is because for me, I know I want to do this work and do this practice. And this is the way that I want to make my living, is by doing astrology and tarot, metaphysical work and energy work, and helping people, and helping people reach their goals and everything like that. Of course, with writing and music and art and all this sort of stuff, right? But I find myself 4 to 5 days out of the week, 5 days this week, serving at a Chinese restaurant. So it's like, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get through. And it's like, there can be this frustration, especially when you hear about the law of attraction. It's like, oh, all you have to do is put yourself in that vibration and just feel it and know it and love it and blah, 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 blah. And then there can be this weird discord where you're like, how come it's not manifesting yet? But I made a post on my Instagram where it's like, whatever it is that you're working towards, to keep moving forward. There was a song that I was listening to, which was by Joe Inoue, or Inoue Joe, depending upon how you want to put it. His first name is Joe. Anyways, he's a Japanese American. He plays all kinds of instruments. He's a singer. He's made a couple of songs that have been featured in openings and endings on the Naruto animes, which is cool. And the one that I was listening to was Closer, which is arguably his most popular song. And then the song, it said, the closer you get to something, the tougher it is to see it. And I'll never take it for granted. Let's go. Those were the lyrics. And I haven't heard this song in a while, And I was like, whoa, even as I say that, I get chills. And I'm like, that is so freaking powerful, because that happens. It's like, the closer you get to something, the tougher it is to see it. So if you're like striving for something, if you're going for a goal, if you're establishing your spiritual practice, if you have been, whether you're wanting to do this, like, and actually do readings for people and help other people, or whether you just do it for, and I want to do it that way, but also I do it because I want to know myself, know thyself. So it's like, I do it because I want to work on my own personal healing as well. It's not just to get readings and to make money. This is a personal healing journey, So, and I know I'm not going to do readings for the rest of my life. I'm going to look at charts the rest of my life, but I probably won't be doing readings for the rest of my life, But it's like, when you're striving in your path on this self-improvement journey, because that's what it is. It's a journey. It's an adventure. It's like there are many destinations, you know, there are many checkpoints. But when we're approaching the destination or a checkpoint, you know, the first day is easy. You know, the second day is a little bit harder. The third day is a little bit harder. The fourth day is a little bit harder than that. By like day 15, you know, it's like, it's hard. By day 30, the 60, you're in your groove, you're moving, you found your momentum, and then by day 90, you start to see a little bit of success, but you're not quite where you want to be. And sometimes you have to just keep going at it, keep going at it, keep going at it. And what happens is that people either quit on the second to third day or like that second week, or they quit right before they break through. And that's when you really shoot yourself in the foot, is because it's like the closer you get to something, it's hard to see that destination. It's hard to see that checkpoint because you're so close. You almost become it. And you do become it, because if you don't become the checkpoint, let's be real, if you get closer to that checkpoint or that destination and you don't become it, then you'll never progress past that checkpoint, because your destiny is not to be stagnant at that point. So it's like, perfect example. Last year, I published a poetry book, Therapeutic Poetry. If you want to check it out, you can click the link in the description below to the Amazon page. But I published a book in January, Therapeutic Poetry, last year. It was my goal to do 3 of them this year, and I haven't even started compiling them. I have a bunch of poems written, probably to fill up maybe 1 book. And I probably honestly will write enough this year to fill up like 5. But after I did that, and I put like, that took months. I took the entirety of 2017 of compiling poetry and putting it together. And then by 2018 in January, I was able to put out this poetry book, and it felt great. But then about a month later, I was like, okay, now what? So it's like, if you do not become the destination itself, you know, and then, because that's really what happens. You become the destination, and then there's a potential to get stagnant and to get stuck there, because you identify with that destination. You identify with that checkpoint. You identify with it. And then that's where the biggest battle comes from. The biggest battle comes from quitting right before you make it. And then after you've made it after like a month or so after you made it, what do you do then? Do you go into the next project? Do you go on the next adventure? Do you go on the journey? Do you continue the journey? Or do you just stay there? And what happens is that if you stay there long enough, things start to stink. You know, you get this putrefaction. You know, it's like, oh, wait, what's going on here? You gotta shower. You gotta cleanse yourself. You gotta purify the body, because you've been there for too long, right? You gotta move forward. So it's like, don't take it for granted. Don't take the journey for granted. Don't take the step that you're at for granted, because I promise you, there is somebody looking up to you that wishes they were in your spot. And there's somebody looking back on where you are and is saying, I wish I took that moment. I wish I was more grateful in that moment, because they might be 5, 10, 15 steps up on the mountain, the ladder, or whatever like that. But they could be looking back at where you are and being like, man, if I was more grateful then, man, where could I be now? If I was more grateful, if I was more appreciative of the opportunities I had in that moment, man, how could things be? Yeah, I made it, but man, you know, I was in a good spot right there. Never know. You never freaking know. You really don't. You never really know. And I just got ascending the mountain. I just drew this randomly out here. Keep going forward. That's part of my mantra on this channel. Keep moving forward. Stay focused and yahoo! Smile often. I just drew this card. You can't make this up, guys. You can't make this up. I'm going to shape this card so you can't see the words. How was your weekend? That was good. Revelatory. Still some frustrations here and there. It wouldn't be life if there weren't any frustrations there. And honestly, frustrations are a sign that you are moving forward. They're a sign that you desire a higher vibrational or higher frequency outcome, so to speak. This is going to be a week that is going to shift everyone's life. This is going to be a week that really shifts your legacy. like forever. And it's like, I know when I say these type of things, it may sound heavy and stuff, but you gotta understand, your life shifts every day. Even if you live externally or seemingly on the surface the same life every day, your life changes every day. It really does. It can be as simple as you walking in your favorite park every day, and you know, this day, just happens to, or just a squirrel can run by you. And there may be many squirrels that run by you while you're walking through the park, but maybe there's a particular squirrel that was like, a being that you associated with in a past life, and just that moment of your souls and spirits intersecting, they're able to give you knowledge that's going to help you like the next day or on that day. Like it could be literally like that. We don't think about stuff like that. We don't think about how it's like, oh, you're just walking in the park and a butterfly flies past you. We don't think about the transformation that comes from that. Anytime you see a butterfly, you're transforming, by the way. Anytime you see a butterfly, it's a deep transformation and a metamorphosis. Now, also goes for dragonflies too. But yeah, this is going to be a super powerful week. We have Jupiter, which is stationing retrograde. We have a grand fire trine. We have a reminder back to the eclipse that happened back on January 21st. We have a lot of energy making aspects at 22 degrees, which is a powerful degree. You got 2-2, which is the master builder number, adds to a 4, which makes it a Uranian, Aquarian-like energy, right? So this is a really powerful, and we don't have any Aquarius energy right now, but this is what's interesting about this too, is that Uranus is in Taurus, and on this week, Uranus will actually move to 2 degrees of Taurus, which was the degree that Uranus went retrograde at. So Uranus will still be in shadow, but now be at 2 degrees. So it's like now we're coming back, and we're gonna be like, what have I learned? How have I innovated my character? Because Uranus went back into Aries, so now that it's going into Taurus, it's about how did I innovate my character and shift and change and transform and go through this metamorphosis. Now how can I begin to build again? And since this is a 2 energy, there's a lot of emotions right now. There's a lot of sensitivities right now. There is a lot of sensitivities right now in the universe and in the atmosphere. And it comes through in various modes, in various ways. But that's why it's such a weird and bewildering and confusing time right now, because we have this stellium in Pisces already, which is already very fantasy-like, but then we have all of this buildup of this 2 energy, and the moon's going to be in Cancer this week. Like what? It's going to be crazy, but it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun, and honestly, you really want to take advantage of this week. You want to take advantage of this week because, we don't get, what I love about astrology is that it is actually one of the most humble systems. And yes, the moon goes around once every, 29, 30 days. Yeah. Yes, it'll conjunct all the planets while it goes around, but they shift degrees, they move. Other aspects happen at the same time. They're like sandwiches. They're like on top of each other, and they go through each other. So it's like, yeah, oh my goodness, yeah. So right now, the moon's in Gemini. Oh, the moon's been here before. Yeah, but it's going to be making different kinds of aspects too. Things have shifted. So it's a spiral. It's not just a circle, because, when you look at a chart, you see the circle, right? And it's cut like a pie into these 12 slices. We've got to understand that it's really more like a spiral. That's really what it's more like. It's more like a spiral. So you can have an aspect on this top of the spiral, which can be making an important aspect of something that happened down here. And even though they may be months, maybe years apart, maybe decades apart, there's still an activation right here. There's still an activation right there. If you can tune into it, if you can tune into that, you can feel that activation, and you'll see how events will replay themselves. You will see how events will replay themselves. And I'm not really one to be a predictive astrologer, but I will say that there's going to be, if it hasn't already happened with Nipsey, now you can already see where I'm going with this, there's going to be some sort of assassination of character that begins to kick off this week. Whether someone actually passes, and I don't want to wish that on anyone, but there is going to be an assassination of character that begins this week. And it's kind of crazy. And it could be you assassinating an old version of yourself. In fact, with most people, that's probably what it is. It can be a version of yourself that's trying to come back up and trying to repossess you, essentially, and have you act out old ways of being and old modalities. But there's going to be an assassination of character. There also could be an assassination of character where people can see like, oh, you changed. Well, duh. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? And it's going to be like, some of y'all can be going to your reunions, like your maybe family reunions or school reunions. My reunion's coming up next year. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for my reunion because I'm going to be doing everybody. I'm going to be asking everyone. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be doing charts. I'm going to just have that computer here. Be like, yeah, what time were you born at, cuh? And then they'll be it's going to be great because they're going to be like, I don't really believe in astrology. I never really connected with my sign. I'm like, okay, what's your sign? Yeah, I'm a Capricorn, but I never really felt like a Capricorn or whatever like that. Well, your moon's in Leo, duh. Oh, well, yeah, of course you don't feel like a Capricorn because you're a sun in Capricorn at the 4th house. So it's like, it's stuff like that. And that's like, these are the things that are going to be revealed more in time, especially over the next 5 to 10 years. Astrology is it's going to be a bit of a double-edged sword where astrology is going to become more popular, but because it's going to become more popular, there's also going to be more of an opportunity for what I call slapsticky astrology to come in, or slapsticky spirituality to enter into. And this is necessary because you need to gather a bunch of potentials and then begin to weed out who's actually about it. So that's what this is going to happen. So as astrology becomes more popular, it's going to attract a lot of potentials. But then people are going to realize that it might not be as sensationalized as they want, or they're going to realize, oh man, this is too deep. I don't know about this. And people will start to back out, but the people who are about it are going to stay, but the community is still going to grow more in its influence. So by 2035, it's going to be like everybody's going to know their sun, moon, and rising. And that's a short 16 years from now. By 2035, if you meet someone who doesn't know their moon or their rising sign, or I would even say like their Mars and Venus, it's going to be kind of weird, right? It's like, have you been living under a rock? And some people, that it might be that way. It could be living on these secluded island tribes where, they're still tapped into the stars and they're still tapped into their system. They're still tapped into the earth. But I'm just saying, like, those of us who are in these quote unquote first world countries, or especially like on the internet and stuff like that, if you don't know your moon and rising by 2035, I don't know what to tell you. Get a reading. Anyways, I've been rambling for a bit, and I haven't really talked too much about what's going on this week, but I just want to catch up on the comments and see what's going on. So, yeah, I'm a Sag rising, Mercury in Sag, so I have a bit of that fire too. Gotta do the work, son. Yes. Thank you, Ang, for joining. How are you doing? Light up one for me. Nikki, what's up? How are you? Oh, you're not late. I haven't really gotten into the charts yet and stuff. We should be learning and growing every day. That we should. Oh, ladybugs. Ladybugs are amazing. Ladybugs are they're similar to butterflies and dragonflies as far as the metamorphosis, but really what I get from ladybugs, they're interesting because they seem to have they're kind of like an igloo, almost like that, right? So it's like whereas the butterfly and the dragonfly represents sort of like this transformation, or sort of like the result of the transformation. I feel like the ladybug kind of represents sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? the gestation period of that fire. You know, kind of like you're holding it in, you're bringing it in. It's kind of like a pearl. It's kind of like a pearl when it's being made out of an oyster. Like the transformation itself, or the butterfly, would be the pearl after the end, after it's been opened up and it's like all, you know, beautiful and shiny and the jeweler's taken shit. The ladybug is like that moment where it's like it's not quite polished, but it's like a very integral state of where you're gathering that warmth, you're bringing that warmth in, and it's like, I mean, it's, yeah, that's just the way that I see ladybugs anyways. It's about gathering and harnessing that warmth. Think Sagittarian vibes, think winter vibes, think vibes where it's like, you know, in the winter, you know, we have, well, Sagittarius is technically in the winter, but it starts to get colder, at least here in the northern hemisphere. And this is around the time of the holidays. So what happens when you have the holidays? Families come together. There's more of a sense of warmth, whether it's emotionally or actually physically. And since things are getting colder now, you're trying to harness that heat. So ladybugs in many ways represent this harnessing of heat, this harnessing of our potential. That's just, excuse me, the vibe that I get. Let's see what's going on here. I was an astrologer in my past life, but this life not for me. I've been engaged with a lot of these metaphysical arts for a while. I have my South Node in Cancer in the 8th house. So I feel like this is actually, at least for a while potentially, maybe potentially one of my last lifetimes doing the metaphysical work in this sense. I don't think I'm going to ever like just stop, but since it is, like I said, my South Node, Cancer, 8th house, my North Node is in Capricorn at the 2nd house, I feel like now it's actually about me starting to build my brand and not just be, because for many lifetimes I was just the yogi in the mountain, like away from society. I was that. A lot of times I did that because I've had villages that were rampaged. I have this incessant feeling, which is probably true, that multiple lifetimes I was the lone survivor of either my neighborhood or my village or my clan, and I was the only survivor. And due to that, it drove me to seclusion and to find myself and to really figure out why these atrocities exist in the world. That's happened to me. But, you know, what's cool about, you know, this lifetime, not that those past lifetimes weren't cool, I'm not throwing shade at them. What's cool about this lifetime is that in like practicing these metaphysical arts, there is a bit more of an open receptivity to it. Not that people don't defame your character, like, because it does happen, and not that you don't get character assassination, because you do. But if I were to do this in like the 50s or the 60s, especially as a black male, and I don't even like pulling the race card, but especially as a black male, and I was doing this during the 50s and 60s, they would have hung my ass. Like, they really would have. Like, they really would have hung my ass. What's up, Victoria? How are you doing? Thanks for joining. Yeah, I have a 12th house stellium. I have a 12th house stellium in Scorpio. So, yeah. Very interesting energies. Very interesting energies. And, you know, being a son of the 12th house, I've been getting like this feeling I have this weird feeling that son of the 12th house is like, this life either provides as a bit of a jail for us and we have to like break out of jail. That's what I kind of feel like. I feel like we have to kind of break out of jail. And I also feel like it's a jail and prison of our own making with 12th house sons. That's why 12th house sons will always be on something, some type of weird drug or whatever like that. Whether it's medication or they do something recreational or whatever like that, or there are issues with drugs in general. Like how they can provide great enlightenings, but also they can be a prison in and of itself. Like that's 12th house sun life. And every day is Alice in Wonderland. Every day is Alice in Wonderland. Like even the most mundane days can be just Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz type shit. Like that's 12th house suns for you. Mine's in Scorpio too, so it's like It's like it has a bit of a dark, twisted humor to it. Some days it's just like unnecessary. That's why I'm actually happy to have a Pisces moon, because like my Pisces moon will just troll the fuck out of my Scorpio energy, and then my Sag rising brings a bit more of that uplifting energy too, where it's like, oh, don't be so damn serious about it. You know, don't be so fucking serious about it. But it's like that 12th house sun energy in Scorpio. It's like sometimes it's some dark, twisted ass humor. And I sometimes get off by that dark, twisted ass humor. And I don't like to admit that. But yeah, it's a hard balance, waking versus dream state. Yeah, nothing wrong with Wonderland. Yeah, Wonderland's great. It really is. It's what allows me to be very artsy. But yeah, Scorpio is yeah, we are twisted. But here's the funny thing about Scorpio energy, that is, it's one of the most misunderstood signs for the reason. I think actually all the water signs are the most misunderstood, but that's just because we are living in a emotional dark age. We're coming out of the emotional dark age, but we live in an emotional dark age. That's why all the water signs are so misunderstood, because everyone thinks that Cancer is just always in their feelings, and they are, but they have the right to be. Everyone thinks that Scorpio is just, they just hate everyone, and they do, but they have a right to be. And I think that Pisces is just like never around, and they're always absent, and they are, and they have a right to be. But it's like, since we are in this emotional dark age, the water signs are very, very misunderstood, and it's hard for us to understand ourselves. A lot of water signs are terribly misguided because they do not know how to, or anyone who just has water, wherever you have these energies in your chart, that's where you have a lot of misguidance. Wherever water is in your chart, there's a lot of misguidance there. For me, 4th, 8th, 12th house. So it's like family stuff, you know, of course, the house of shared resources and like death and rebirth stuff, and then spirituality. I've dealt with a lot of like overcoming misguidance in those areas in my life and stuff, you know. But it's like Pisces can chat with you while surfing other dimensions. Yeah, they do. You get this glazed look. It's so interesting watching Pisces. It's so interesting watching Pisces channel too. It's like I've noticed that. It's like because I love watching OJC Astrology. She's one of my favorite astrologers on here, and it's like I can literally see her. I can feel it because I'm a Pisces moon, but I can literally see her. It's like, oh, she just took off to another dimension. She just like went way over there, but then she comes back so quickly. It's so funny. But yeah, we are in this emotional dark age where the water signs are just terribly misunderstood. And unfortunately, we misunderstand ourselves. And then we're told, and I will say this, especially men water signs, we're told to not feel. We're told to be a man or whatever like that. And I don't have a problem with manning up when I need to man up, but like water signs, like masculine water signs, you know what I mean? Like if you incarnated physically as a man, you know, it's like, it's really tough because we are told that we have to be a certain way and look a certain way. And it can be like, do I have to do that? Like it's a whole weird thing. It really is. Take this from a Scorpio sun, Pisces moon, right? So it's like, I don't have an issue doing stereotypically manly shits, although I think a lot of these definitions are beginning to be changed, and we're realizing that, you know, hey, anybody can do this. Anybody can be president of the United States. You know, I think we should have a female president. And I don't want to say this and to piss anyone off, but I don't think necessarily that a female president will be better than a male president, only because that's a stupid ass position and we don't need a president of the United States. It's dumb to think that one person can rule over 300,000 plus people. Or is it 300 million plus people, excuse me, because we have over 300 million people here in America, right? It's dumb to think that one person could be the head of 300 million people. I'm sorry, I think that's stupid. There's only one being that can do that. I don't know how they're doing that. You know, I really don't know how. They have incredible team of beings, but it's stupid to think that. Now, I do think if we had a female president, she would definitely be able to claw ourselves out of a bunch of the shit that we dug ourselves into. I do believe that. But I don't think anyone's fit to be president. That's just my personal opinion. I know if I was president, I would fuck shit up. I would fuck shit up so hard. probably would get assassinated. I think a lot of people who are full of themselves like to think that if they became president, they would get assassinated. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, if I was president, I would get assassinated." Like it's like, shut up, man. You probably won't. States have their own legislation that overrides federal. Yeah, they do all the time. I think we've proven that after a certain amount of people, it's hard to regulate. It's hard to regulate 300 million people. It's hard to regulate the states themselves. It's hard. I think it's like, what's the statistic? Like, I think you can know, like, on like a deeper bond level, on a personal level, you can only know up to like, and don't quote me this because this is a big range. I think it's either from 50 to 200 people that you can know on like close terms with, and that's as much as like our, I guess our mind can kind of like hold capacity for, hold space for, is knowing that many people on a deeper personal level, anywhere from 50 to 200. I know that's a big range, but you got to consider how many fucking people are just within like a mile radius of me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I probably should actually talk about this week's energy. But I do kind of like this live format just because I get to ramble, I get to talk about things that come up, and then I can kind of relate it back to what's going on. We gotta remember, guys, the moon is in Gemini right now, so it's like we all are about to become a little bit more chatty. We're going to start speaking our emotions out. And if you don't have necessarily like a filter on you, like Aries or Sag or Leo or Cap, then you're going to just be spouting off, you know, whatever, whether it's true or whether it's nonsense. You're just going to be spouting off whatever. If you're Libra, you may be a little bit more reserved. You may actually think things through, but there can also be a potential for a manipulation there. If you're Scorpio, you're not going to say shit. Because no one can handle it anyways. But I mean, if you're Pisces, you're not going to say shit either, but that's just because you're in another dimension. But like the moon in Gemini right now is, oh, my sister just messaged me. Speaking of cancers, my sister just messaged me. Let me oh, she just sent me something on Facebook. Okay, just some sort of like meme or whatever like that. Oh, but my partner also messaged me. Oh, something about work. Interesting. I will reply to her later. But in any event, Scorpio embargo. Yeah, that Scorpio embargo. We're not allowed. Like that's funny because the piece has been talking about that, and it's like as a Scorpio, it's like that's actually true because there's shit that I'm not allowed to say. There's shit that I'm like I literally like I can't say, like they're like literally blocks on what I can like say, and it's kind of ridiculous. I'm able to get away with some of it, but I usually experience the repercussions of such. Not bad repercussions or anything like that. A lot of this has to do with the fact that Pluto is in Capricorn right now. When Pluto comes into Aquarius, the Scorpio embargo is like done. Like it's like it won't be done, but we'll be able to get away with far more stuff then. Just because Aquarius is a rebel, and Scorpio and Aquarius have a secret love affair that no one wants to talk about. And I am basing this a lot on my current romantic relationship. Who, let's be real, we're not married, but she's my wife. So, but it's like Scorpio and Aquarius, there is a deep secret love affair that no one wants to fucking talk about for some reason. I don't know why. But when Pluto comes into Aquarius, oh boy, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be able to say shit again. And it's going to be interesting. That's the other thing about Scorpio is that these Scorpio moons, oh my goodness. Some of y'all think that Scorpio's sun is dark and twisted with their humor. Scorpio moon, I love Scorpio moon too, because moon doesn't like to be in Scorpio. It's at fall there because it's it's exalted. in or is it detriment? I can't remember if it's fall or detriment. Anyways, the moon doesn't like to be in Scorpio. I'd rather be in Taurus, right? The moon just came out of Taurus. So it's like, but moon in Scorpio is like some psychic level on some like real deep shit. Like on some real deep shit. Especially you want to see what house it's in. But the moon in Scorpio is like, even as a sun in Scorpio with all the, like the stellium energy, I look at moon in Scorpio and I'm like, damn, like you guys are deep. You guys are deep. Like you really are. And it's like, it's funny because I think moon in Scorpio kind of gets flack for being kind of like a, I'll go ahead and say it, a bit of a whore, you know, kind of, you know, I don't know whether they actually do it or not, you know, physically whoring themselves around. But it's like, if a moon in Scorpio commits to you and you break the trust of that moon in Scorpio, you ain't getting that trust back. It's going to take you a couple of lifetimes to get that trust back. It's going to take you a couple of lifetimes to get the trust back of a moon in Scorpio. Like, you can cross a sun in Scorpio, and it's like, we'll cut you off, but we'll eventually come back to you. We'll eventually open up that communication again. You know, we'll still kind of be like looking at you with the side eye. But if you cross a moon in Scorpio and you fuck with the moon in Scorpio and you break their trust, good luck trying to get that back in this lifetime. Good luck. That's the ultimate, just like, you're cut off, you're dead. Because a lot of times with Scorpio energy, people are like, it's black and white. And it kind of is. But I feel like that's more of like a Scorpio moon thing, where it's like, it's either you like it or you don't like it. Now, Scorpio moon, if you have Scorpio moon, it really is black or white. If you cross a Scorpio moon, you're getting stung so many times. You're getting stung. See, like Sun and Scorpio, we only have to sting you once. We only have to sting you once, and it'll be very, very fucking painful. We'll move on. If it's a moon of Scorpio, that sting is not fun. It's not fun. It is not fun. Like Victoria said, you are dead. That's like the ultimate, you're dead to me. That's what it is. The moon will not be coming into Scorpio this week. I've actually come to enjoy the moon in Scorpio. I think it's fun, actually. I've come to like appreciate all the moon placements. I do have my favorites, of course. I like moon in Taurus. I know that sounds, yeah, moon is exalted there. I like moon in Taurus. I do like moon in Pisces because it's fun. I like moon in Sag because I feel like it's one of the lighter energies. When the moon goes into Gemini, I'm kind of just like eating popcorn, just like watching shit. Moon in Libra is kind of like, I don't dislike moon in Libra, but it's a little like, I think everyone's trying to be like overly politically correct with their emotions and stuff. You know, like you don't want to hurt people, you know? Like moon in Cancer can be melodramatic, but moon in Libra is like taking that melodramatic and like making a case off of it in court. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's go through the signs. Hold on. Let's see. Moon in Aries. We just got out of that. Moon in Aries is fun. It can be definitely very impulsive. A lot of one-night stands will happen with Moon in Aries. Some of them can lead to longer things. Moon in Leo is fun as well. A lot of times, you know, people's inner actor comes out with Moon in Leo. A Moon in Leo will be a great night to go to like a comedy thing. Moon in Virgo's kind of, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I like Moon in Virgo, but it's a little too real, you know, for me. It's a little too real. We talked about Moon in Libra. We raved about Moon in Scorpio. Like I said, Moon in Sag is just light and fun. It's very much so about the adventure. Moon in Cap is actually cool. I can appreciate Moon in Cap because they have a bit of the dark humor that Scorpio has, but it's a little bit, it's just dry. It's drier than Scorpio, the Moon in Scorpio, or the Scorpio humor, the dark humor. Moon in Capricorn is just like kind of like a dry, sort of almost like sarcastic kind of energy. Moon in Aquarius is cool because like I feel like everyone's like getting along more. It's like a big kumbaya, and that's kind of what I feel about it. So there you go, my breakdown parody of the moon and the science and stuff like that. Aries moons are spiritual warriors. Yes, they are. I have a good friend who is an Aries moon, and that dude is a spiritual warrior. He's a sun in Pisces, moon in Aries. I believe his Venus is also in Aries. And then I want to say was his Mercury? I did his chart, and it's on my computer. But yeah, he is a spiritual warrior. Interesting enough, I have not met up with them, at least physically in this dimension, but we have traveled many lifetimes together. But that dude is a spiritual warrior. Like I say, he's a sun in Pisces, so he's been through some stuff. He's seen some stuff. He really has. So it's like kudos out to all the moon placement signs. I've really come to appreciate the moon. The moon moves really fast in astrology, so it's like a lot of times people actually vibe more with their moon sign than their sun sign. I know lately I've been vibing more with my Pisces moon than my Scorpio sun. What's funny though is that my Scorpio sun's in the 12th house, so it has a bit of that Piscean influence anyways. So it's like, and then I don't have any 8th house energy besides my my south node there, my vertex. So it's like, I definitely vibe more with the Piscean energy anyways myself. So that's what happens a lot of times. People vibe with their moon side more, and the moon moves so quickly. But that's another reason why I say that we are in an emotional dark age, because people do not follow the moon that closely, and they don't really know their emotions. They don't know how they flow through things. They allow themselves to get swept away by certain currents. There's nothing wrong with getting swept away by currents. It's like if you go to like a comedy special, or if you go to like a concert or like that, that's a current. You can get swept away in that current. But there are other times where you can get swept away, and it's not a good thing, right? So that's what happens. A lot of times people are getting swept away by currents, especially when it comes to politics, especially when it comes to social media, TV, and all this sort of stuff. People are getting swept away. And it's like, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous if you do not know how to, and it's not necessarily even about fighting the current. It's about learning how to surf that current, because when you learn how to surf that current, you can learn how to get off of it if you need to get off of it, or at least at the very least take advantage of that current and harness the momentum to carry you to where you actually want to go. You know what I mean? It's like in the Cars movie, it's like turning left to go right or turning right to go left. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like this scene where like they were teaching McQueen, someone was teaching McQueen, the car, the race car, how to like hit this turn properly. It was the Doc, right? He was like a former race car champion, whatever like that. And he was teaching McQueen. It was like an upstart, hot shot. Think Leo and Capricorn. Like McQueen was the Leo, and then the Doc, the car that was like now a cop car, is like a Capricorn, right? And it's like he was teaching him how to like actually like maneuver this thing to make this turn. And that's all it kind of is. Sometimes you have to turn right to go left, or turn left to go right. Sometimes you have to ride a current that you don't necessarily want to ride, but use the momentum of that to propel you onto the current that you want to ride on. And that's very similar to what I was talking about earlier in this, where it's like you can be doing things in your life right now that you don't necessarily want to do, or they're not necessarily your passion or where you want your legacy to be, but don't take it for granted where you are, because there are lessons there to be learned. And when you learn those lessons and you really begin to develop that momentum and you utilize your position, you can use that to inspire you to get to where you want to go. Or say you make it and then you have like your 15-20 minute TED talk. You can be like, yeah, 5 years ago I was a server at a Chinese restaurant, and that, I didn't want to be there for all this sort of stuff like that, but it taught me blah 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 blah, and I met this person who linked me up with this person, and now here I am doing my TED talk. That's how it can be. So it's like, don't allow yourself to get too emotionally frustrated right now, especially with all this energy that's happening right now. Especially all this energy that's happening in the later degrees of their respective signs. The sun is now in the 20s. We have Saturn, Pluto, and the nodes in the 20s. We have Venus, which will be coming to the spot this week. In Pisces, we have Mercury, which is here. There's a lot of energies at these areas. We have Jupiter at 24 degrees of Sag. there can definitely be this overwhelming energy of this current. The reason why I say this is the flames of purification is because we're ending off with this grand fire trine, which, like I said, is going to be a callback to earlier this year during one of the most powerful eclipse periods that since I've been studying this, and even just the energy itself, because the nodes had already shifted by this point into Cancer and Capricorn respectively, but this was the last eclipse that we had in the Leo Aquarius energy. So super fucking powerful shit, like super freaking powerful stuff. So we really are holding space for our legacy to be born, and we really just need to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt and push forward despite the fact that things may not be appearing the way that we want to. You see how I just flipped the script and went totally like serious just then? I went from like more comedic to just flipping the script and just being serious. But for real, like this is that week where it's like people are going to be casting fire at you. People are going to throw you into the fire, and that fire is actually going to purify you. They're not, and it's actually, and purify means like it's going to burn away the doubts. If anyone's casting fire at you, if you experience any type of character defamation this week, or character assassination this week, or just from here on out, that fire, just let that burn away any doubts. Because here's the thing though, here's the thing about it, people throw and hurl that stuff at you a lot of times because there's, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, is because of a doubt within themselves. But some aspect of their consciousness can sense that doubt also within you. And if they cast that fire at you, you have one or two options. You can allow those fires to burn each other out, meaning that they pretty much cancel each other out, or you can allow that fire that they throw at you to feed that doubt that they see within you, no matter how big or small it is. So what you want to do is allow it to cancel each other out so it doesn't grow. What happens a lot of times is that people will cast doubt at you or cast their fears at you, performing this character defamation and character assassination on you, and you will take it and you'll run with it. You'll feed it. Feed me, Seymour. You'll feed it. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's how you begin to doubt yourself. An element of doubt is actually necessary. An element of doubt is actually necessary. That's why it says 99.9% the other person. Because it's like they wouldn't really hurl it at you if their consciousness didn't detect, even if it was unconscious, that there was a little bit of that doubt within yourself. But even imagine a world without doubt, though. Just imagine for a moment a world without doubt. You probably can't do it, but imagine a world without doubt. I wouldn't be talking to you all if we lived in that world. I wouldn't have this device right here. I wouldn't have this. Because doubt can come in many forms. I wouldn't be with my partner right now, more than likely, because there was a time, and still a lot of people doubt that, you know, she's white, right? I'm black. So people doubted that interracial couples could work, you know? You know, people doubted it. That it was like, oh, that can't work. But doubt also has led to the creation of how this has come about now. Because there are people who believe that it would work that doubted what the other people were saying. They were saying like, oh, I don't think interracial couples can work. I doubt that'll work. And someone else can be like, you know, I doubt that your doubt is even valid right here. I doubt that your doubt even matters. You doubt that this can work. I doubt that. I doubt that very ideology. So without doubt, the world wouldn't be where it is right now. We wouldn't really have progression. So we need an element of it. The problem is that when we are moving towards something, when we're striving for whatever it is that we're striving for, and striving for a goal, or you know, creating our legacy, reaching our destination, and moving forward after we reach that destination, that people are going to throw doubts and fears at you, and you could either let it cancel out, or you can feed it. and then subsequently act out it. And then they'll be like, oh, look, I was right. I was right. I was right. Of course you were right. I acted it out. I fed into it. But what good does that do for you knowing that you were right? How does that actually increase the quality of your life that you are right about something that I did that doesn't even really affect your life? How does that affect and increase the quality of your life? How does that raise your vibration? This is a huge issue right now because people love, especially with the internet and social media, people love to go looking for fights. People love to go looking for arguments. And I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of going onto the politics subreddit and pissing myself off because I'll see shit that it's like, why? The other day, I think it was like Saturday or Sunday, I barely opened Facebook. I don't even think I opened up Facebook. I think I opened it up once, like in the middle of the day at like 5 o'clock. But I opened up Facebook maybe once for like a few seconds, maybe twice in like a 24-hour period. My vibration was so high that day and nothing amazing happened either. I was just in a good mood, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the thing about this. That's the danger right now, is that people are looking for fights. People are looking for character defamation. People are looking to place allegations right now. But if you pay these people any attention, and you do this too, you do this like whether you realize it or not, to yourself or other people. If you pay attention to that energy, how does that increase the quality of your life? How does that raise your vibration? How does that bring you into your higher self? How does that, bridge that connection to your higher self so you can really start to enact, that higher quality, that deeper quality and essence that's in your heart? You know what I mean? Powerful week, guys. Powerful week. Jupiter's going retrograde. I'm actually going to be doing a special video for the Jupiter retrograde tomorrow. Right now, I have it scheduled for 7. I may push it up earlier only because right now we're dog sitting. I mean, I'm not there right now because they'll be okay for a little bit, right? I just make sure that they eat around a certain time, which actually technically will be now. But anyways, they'll be okay. They have food. But we're dog sitting this week, so I need to make sure that I'm not away from my fiance's parents' house for too long. Right now, I'm just in the normal place. I'm going to finish up this video and then head back on over there. But I do have a special video for the Jupiter retrograde. Yeah, the internet is definitely a double-edged sword. I think we have to, like I said, with the creation of anything, you have to weed through the shit. You have to weed through, the deformities of it before you can, before you realize it. And obviously, there's a lot of benefits to the internet, but you have to like weed through a bunch of the crap stuff. You really do. It's like, and it's funny though, because like sometimes, like I would say this week, if you want to piss yourself off, right now, actually, since the moon in Gemini, you could actually kind of get away with it right now if you want to like purposely piss yourself off by looking at things on the internet that upset you, because the moon in Gemini is going to make you a little bit more emotionally detached, whatever like that. You can laugh at it. Do not do it during the moon in Cancer, especially this transit. I would even say do it during the moon in Leo. Really, you don't want to do that. I'm saying that you can kind of get away with it with the moon being in Gemini. You can kind of get away with it with the moon being in Aries. I feel like those are the only 2 signs that you can kind of get away with it with. I would even say moon in Aquarius, because even though Aquarius is detached, Aquarius will try to look for a solution. So it's like you'll see something that may piss you off, but then it can inspire you to look for a solution, right? To kind of take up some sort of humanitarian cause. But then it's like you may overstep your boundaries. You may overstep where you are, because it's like you may try and provide help for people who don't want it. And that's a big issue with Moon in Aquarius, is that you can give unsolicited advice. Unsolicited advice is actually a huge issue within the spiritual community. I am very guilty of unsolicited advice. Asked if I should make a video, got Two of Swords and Ace of Pentacles in reverse, saying do it when ready. Exactly. Knowing yourself, doing things when you're ready. There's no sense to just rush right into things. There really isn't. And that's another thing with this whole path is that, like, you know, you see a lot of, you know, I watch Joe Rogan a lot, and he's one of my biggest inspirations because I felt like he's crushing it and doing a bunch of stuff. But then he looks at people like Tony Robbins and The Rock and like Kevin Hart that are like really just like really crushing it. And I'm inspired and motivated by those people. But you gotta understand, first of all, everyone has different makeup, you know, as far as like their stars and stuff like that. So there are people out there that can actually crush it and work like 20 hours a day and only get like four hours of sleep, whatever like that. But that might not be you, you know? And don't be upset that it isn't you. That's another weird thing about like looking at even inspirational and motivational stuff, because that's a trap as well. It's not only a trap to get caught up in the negativity, positivity can be a trap too, because you can be a self-help or self-improvement junkie. You know what I mean? And you can get caught up in what everyone else is saying and is motivating you to do, but then you're looking at the stuff for like 6, 7, 8 hours and you haven't done anything yourself. There's a danger there as well. And there's also a danger of thinking that you have to match their level of output. That's a danger as well. You don't have to match the level of output. Unless you really have it in you and you really want to do that, and that's really what's in your heart, you do not have to match their output. You don't have to crush it like that. I promise you, you're already crushing it. I promise you, you're already crushing it. Especially if you're watching this video, your guides, your angels, yeah. Your guides, your angels are applauding you because you are crushing it right now. Doing what you're doing right now. Doing what you're doing right now. That's a beautiful thing. So give yourself a round of applause. Seriously. Like, you are crushing it. See, Loogie is going to give you a round of applause too. See? You can't really hear it. But, you know, yeah. Those are my goals, man. To get to like Joe Rogan, to where I can do like 2.5 to 3 hour podcasts a day. You know what I mean? Like that, those are goals right there. You know, that would be awesome just to have really cool people on doing, and it can be about astrology, but I'll just talk to anyone, you know, whatever like that. Just like I was like, oh, let me pull up your chart real fast, and then we just talk about stuff, or you know, whatever, you know, goals. Anyways, let's hop into the chart. Let's actually show you on Planet Watcher these transits and stuff like that. The back of my throat is scratchy. The pollen has been ridiculous lately. Anyone else here freaking allergic to pollen? It's crazy. So let me get into this. Let me share my screen. All right, so these are the transits for today. But this is where things are right now. As you can see, the moon has freshly ingressed into Gemini. So we don't really have a lot of things happening, at least exact today, but we do have a buildup of this energy. We are building up to the sun squaring over to Saturn. We do have the buildup of the sun squaring the nodes, the sun squaring Pluto. We have the buildup of this energy here when Venus comes into contact with Neptune. And this is the second to last full day of Jupiter going forward. But as of right now, the moon is in Gemini. It will make this sextile over to Chiron right before it conjuncts. Let's see, hold on. Sometimes the thing is a little bit slow at loading. Let's see if I can get it to, there we go. So the moon is going to make this nice sextile over to Chiron, which is technically out of shadow because it went retrograde at 2 degrees Aries and like, I want to say it was like 20 or 30 or so solar minutes. So it's technically out of shadow, but it's not quite there. Chiron coming out of shadow is another big thing this month. This week, and I will definitely show you what happened the last time Chiron was at 3 degrees of Aries, because it'll freaking blow your minds. Hopefully not really. Anyways, but the moon's going to make this sextile over to Chiron towards the end of the evening. So, tonight, with the moon being a Gemini, there may be conversations that come up that can definitely kind of bring up this sensitivity when it comes to our character and who we are. That's why you really want to make sure that you are around the right people and the right conversations, engaging with the right media, because Gemini in many ways can rule media in a sense. So, and it rules like your close proximity. So tonight will be a good night to, light a candle, light some incense, kind of get into a good mood. When you come home from work, or if you already are at home from work, make sure that you have a good conversation with your families. If you have families, put the phone away and actually talk to them. Watch a good movie, take a nice bubble bath, do something like that, and get yourself in the right space, the right environment, because going into the rest of this week is going to be intense. And tonight's going to be a bit of a chill night, despite the fact that the moon in Gemini isn't really chill. And as you can see, since it's coming closer to Mars, it's almost like, the storm is coming anyways. Not that it's a bad storm. It's not a bad storm, but there is a bit of a firestorm that is coming. And today is sort of like this, we can kind of feel it coming. So it's almost sort of like, let's kind of just let's not, there's an energy of not over preparing for the storm. There's almost this energy of acceptance that this transformation is coming, acceptance that this purification through the flames, these divine flames is coming. So it's just sort of like, prepare by kind of relaxing and chilling out a bit. If people start talking shit about you, if you find yourself getting into weird arguments on Facebook and shit, just dismiss that stuff. This is a sextile. This is not an energy where you could engage with them, but honestly, I would say, if it's a conversation that really triggers you in a quote unquote negative way, don't have sex with that. Like I said, this is a sextile. Don't have sex with that energy. Don't crave from that energy. If it's about, moving yourself forward and your development, and maybe you may be masterminding with other individuals and with other like-minded individuals, and looking to create something new, create a project, that's something that you would want to have sex with, and actually transform and create from that space and bring that into life, because that's going to promote your growth and your expansion, right? So that's really Monday. Like I said, not a lot's going to be happening, but we do have a buildup of all this energy. So that's really what this first day is about. It's about the buildup. So as we move into the 9th on Tuesday, this is going to be Eastern Standard Time. The moon is actually, interesting enough, going to shift to 6 degrees with Mars. So we're going to get this conjunction of the moon and Mars at 6 degrees. And this is pretty interesting here, because Mars is going to be freshly on this degree of 6, and what's happening here is actually you're going to start to feel more into action that you can take, and it can be via communication or these Gemini energies. Of course, you want to look to see where Gemini is in your chart. For me, this is going to be actually kind of wrapping up my 6th house, so this is actually this is there can be a lot of talk about what we're going to do and what we're going to act on. You want to be careful about talking the talk and not walking it, because Mars is about action. But since it's in Gemini, we can be talking about a lot of action that we're going to take. And with the moon coming on top of this spot, this will be a very good time to actually take action on that. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do, and you've been talking about it, whether you've been talking about it with yourself, with other people, the 9th will be a very good day to do it. 420 blaze it. The 9th will be a very good day to do it, because the moon's going to be coming off this aspect to Mars. So as you can see, as soon as the moon enters into Gemini, it's starting to make this these aspects of fiery energies. We have Chiron, which is in Aries. We have Mars, which is a fire planet, and the air sign of Gemini. So here's the other thing, though. When you bring fire and air together, it can create fireballs. It can create explosions. The thing about this, though, is that this is mutable air, and the moon is also involved here. So if you allow yourself to get too washed away and things that are really outside of your control emotionally, and you're like kind of reacting to them in such a way, you can kind of put out your own fire before you get going. But since this is at the degree of 6, this also brings a bit of that Libra quality in here, because Venus, because 6 in numerology is ruled by Libra and Venus energy. And you can even look over here, we have Venus at 16 degrees of Pisces, so there's another 6 right here. So there's some mutual reception actually between this aspect and this as well with Venus. So it's like, this is honestly about believing in yourself and believing in your dreams and believing that's possible. 1 is Leo, the sun, and 6 is Venus. So this is really about, do you believe that you are worthy enough of your dream? Do you believe that you are worthy enough of that dream? And you'll basically know who's about it on Tuesday based off of the actions that they take, not just what they're talking about, but the actions that they take. You'll begin to know. We're going to start to separate, the cream from the crop. We're going to really begin to start to see that as we progress this forward. Let's see. Also, we have to remember that Venus is coming closer into its conjunction with Neptune. So that's another very important thing here. As we move this forward, Mercury and the North Node are going to actually begin to make their trine, actually when the moon is going to be at 12 degrees of Gemini. And why I like to point this out is that whenever I look at these aspects, I want to see where the moon is, because that's where everyone's going to be feeling it. In many ways, it's like, yeah, this is going to be happening here, but this is how we're in many ways responding to it. So with Mercury, while it's still in shadow, it's going to be trining over to the North Node. So this is going to be activating an aspect of our legacy and our purpose and our drive and where we're heading towards. Like I said, there's a lot of 2s here. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. There's a lot of 2s here. So it's definitely going to be an emotionally driven trine. And this is about opening up that communication with spirit. And this is some law of attraction type stuff. Like, this is going to be a day where it's like, yeah, you want to act on things too. But when it comes to this trine, this will be a very, very good time to, I would say, write down some affirmations or say out some affirmations. You can do even like a burning ceremony where maybe you write out like a goal or something like that shit you want, or you write out like what you're affirming. I would say write it out twice and then burn one of the sheets of paper. That can even be, bringing in this aspect, because the moon would have conjuncted Mars earlier in the day. And at this point, the moon will be at 12 degrees. 1 + 2 is 3, which is that Sagittarian energy. And that's all about beliefs. And this is also going to be the last day that Jupiter will be moving forward, or what's stationed right now, but this will be the last day of Jupiter not being in retrograde. So April 9th on Tuesday will be a very powerful day of not only acting on what we say we're going to do, but to also, that's taking literally the practical, but then engaging with this more metaphysical, spiritual aspects, where, like I said, maybe you write down a goal, or you write down some affirmations, or you write down some I ams, and you write it down on a couple sheets of paper, and then you burn one of the sheets of paper. That will be a very powerful way to integrate this energy and to really propel you forward towards your goal. So yeah, that's going to be that aspect with this trine that's happening here. We got to remember also that, it's going to be sextiling the South Node, which is sandwiched between Pluto and Saturn. So, and that's the thing, is that this aspect's going to come up. So with the sextiling energy, we got to understand that, in order to get to where you want to go, there's going to be some uncomfortability there, and you have to learn how to move through the uncomfortability. You're going to have to learn how to have the difficult conversations with yourself, the difficult conversations with other people. They may just turn out better than you hope. They may turn out better than you think, but there's going to be a level of uncertainty and uncomfortability to this week because there's going to be a lot of aspects made to this Capricorn energy. And you have to learn how to deal with the uncomfortable energy. You're going to have to learn how to thrive with the uncomfortable, because it's like, you know, like perfect example, like, you know, you want to get stronger and you're pushing up weights. I mean, yeah, it feels good to actually get the weight, but it's uncomfortable actually pushing the weight up unless someone actually like really gets off by that. Like, I feel happy and successful when I can push up a weight that I didn't push up previously, or I struggled with it. But it's uncomfortable. But in order to actually push that weight up and actually move forward, you have to push through that uncomfortability, right? You have to do the work. You have to practice. It's like, it's not enough just to, you know, oh, I want to have the success and, you know, be in the race and actually finish first place and have the success and the glory of the fans cheering my name and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not just that. You have to deal with those uncomfortable moments in practice where you get burned by your teammates over and over and over again. I saw a perfect example of this earlier. I was watching a video where this girl was running track and she was doing hurdles and she tripped on the first hurdle. But she never gave up. And it was an uncomfortable situation because, I mean, yeah, it was being filmed and people were watching and it was uncomfortable, but she just she zoned all of that out and she continued to hurdle. She even had to stop a few times, back up, and then go over them, but she never gave up and she didn't fall again. She didn't fall again. So you have to deal with the fact that you're going to fall. You have to deal with the fact that you're going to fail. I'm not saying that you're going to necessarily fail this week. You probably will in some aspect, but you're going to have to deal with that uncomfortable feeling of not being exactly where you want to be or where you thought you're going to be. But as I said earlier in this video, appreciate every step of the journey. Appreciate every step of the journey. So that's really the energies for Tuesday. The moon is going to begin to square all of this energy, as you can see. And Venus is beginning to square Neptune. Conjunct Neptune. Already is, but it won't be exact until later. It won't be exact until, let me click on this right here, 2:12 a.m. and that's Eastern Standard Time. So Tuesday going into Wednesday, we're going to get this nice conjunction right here while the moon is squaring it, mind you, while the moon is squaring it. And this is really, you know, your dreams coming true. Your dreams coming true. This is that 1 plus the 7, that Piscean energy, which equals an 8, which is about Capricorn. It's about decisions. It's about hard work. It's about efforts. So it seems like one of the more realistic degrees of Pisces, but it's also about your dreams actualized and made real and made manifest. April 10 can be a day where, you know, maybe you write down like one of your affirmations on Tuesday and then you wake up to Wednesday morning and it actually happens. You know, maybe you're like, you know, you want this job, you know, and you wake up and they actually offer it to you. Or, you know, maybe, you know, it could be anything like that, you know. This is going to be a day where things can actually be made manifest, because you got to think Venus, while it rules Libra, it's, you know, it likes to be in Taurus as well. So you got to think about that. It rules Libra and it rules Taurus, and Taurus is about that manifestation energy. It's about bringing things into its physicality. It's fixed earth. So this is going to be definitely a day where a lot of those dreams and really the value that you have for yourself can be brought to a physicality. The danger here is that, you know, with Neptune, is that there's going to be an element of delusion to this and illusion, and people may even call you delusional for going for what you want. People may call you delusional, like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. And, you know, there may be even an element of truth to what they're saying, but you don't really want to pay attention to that. You remember what I said about people casting those doubts, and 99.9% of it's coming from within. That's why I said there's maybe a tiny element of truth to that. But if you pay too much close attention to that, then you will actually manifest those doubts. Now, some of you also, or people in general, could also may find themselves manifesting situations or circumstances where, you know, they're kind of at the end of their rope and they may manifest some sort of desperate situation. Mars is going to be Moon is going to be squaring this energy. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be anything super heavy or serious, because the Moon in Gemini isn't a very serious energy. This could actually be a day where if you kind of find yourself backed into a corner, like you're really just getting trolled heavily by the universe. You're really just getting trolled. Like, this is a very beautiful aspect. This is a really nice aspect with Venus and Neptune coming together. Venus is exalted in Pisces. We got to remember that. So, but like I said, there's still this element where one can be kind of deluded. But really what I'm seeing more as, especially with the Moon being in Gemini, squaring this energy, is that people are going to be, you're going to, be living your dream, actually like walking the walk, walking the talk. And some people are still going to hurl comments at you and hurl hatred at you, because not that they can't do what you're doing, it's that they don't have the capacity to do what they want to do. But the fact that you're able to do what you want to do, and you're able to access that that motivation, that spark, which is within everybody, they may get pissed off at you for doing what you love to do. That's going to be the main challenge of this day, is not letting people rain on your fucking parade. Venus conjunct Neptune and Pisces at this degree is a parade in the spiritual realm. It's a parade. It's a very magical parade. But the Moon in Gemini can be someone who's trying to like kind of fuck with you, trying to like rain on your parade, and you don't really want that. So don't let what people say on this day get you down. Don't let what people say on this day deter you from manifesting your success. Don't let it happen. Also, there can be people that can be pumping you up, which is beautiful. People can also be pumping you up, even with the squaring energy. People can be actually encouraging you. There can also be a bit of tough love that comes in on this day, especially, I would say, from a sibling. If you happen to have any siblings, they may support you, but they may give you a bit of tough love on this day, or even just like a friend. There's also, like, with it being in Gemini, there's a good bit of twin flame energy right here. So relationships are going to come up, of course, with this. I've been receiving tough love from my fiance, and it's funny because it's like she'll say something, and I'm like, okay, I guess. And then like some other person will say something, the same thing, and then I'm like, oh yeah, well, I saw this thing where so and so said this. And oh my gosh, that inspired and motivated me. And she'd be like, I just told you that a few days ago. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So there can be people in your close life, your close proximity, that can be giving you this tough love and can be telling you things that you need to hear, right? But you may not be wanting to necessarily receive it, probably because you're just kind of jaded and you take their you may take that relationship for granted. I think a lot of people in this day can realize that they may take their relationships for granted, and they may not realize just how magical things actually are. That's a very beautiful energy, actually. A very beautiful energy of realizing to not take things for granted, not taking your relationships for granted. There's some work involved. This is the 8 energy, Capricorn. There's some work involved, but it's interesting how like the things that you really work hard towards typically are what we at least deem as the most valuable. You know what I mean? It's like you work. We deem it as such, like materially, but they seem to carry more. They seem to carry more value. Wednesday is going to be a fun day because there's a lot of stuff happening on this day. As you can see, like I said, we get this squaring energy, and you move the Moon forward. We also get, actually, well, let's go to this because this happens on the same day. So not only do we get this conjunction of Venus and Neptune, we get this squaring energy. So we get several squares. So we got this T-square happening right here, right? We got the Sun squaring off to Saturn. So the Sun's going to square all these energies this week. The Sun's going to square Saturn is going to square the nodes, and it's going to square Pluto this week. That's intense, guys. That's fucking intense. Like, and look, it's happening here at 20 degrees as far as this square goes. So let's take the numerology. 2, which is Cancer energy, and we have 0, which is Scorpio energy. Holy fuck, man. 20 degrees. Very, very emotionally sensitive degree. Very, very emotionally sensitive, because the 0 is holding space for something to be created. And this is in many ways based off of your current, based off of your emotions, of where you're feeling right now. So if you are feeling like not necessarily in the greatest space, you could be holding space for something within your character to manifest that may or may not be of the right caliber to move you forward. That's kind of the beauty of this. And the sun is exalted here. So what's interesting here is that with the sun being exalted in Aries, I'm literally thinking of this as a child actor, an actor as a child who makes it, right? A child actor, you know, perhaps they've been on TV since they were like 5. But then the sun squaring over to Saturn is when that child actor is now in their 20s or their 30s, and they're not getting the roles they once got. And Saturn checks their ass, and they realize, like, you can't act in the same way that you did before. You can't be the way that you were before, because that was a different era. That was a different time. Now you have to change it up. You have to do something different. So there's going to be a bit of a complication here, because some people are going to be like, you know, no, I've always done it this way, and this is the way I'm going to do it, you know. And that may be fine and dandy, and that may get you to some places, that may land you some roles, but it's not going to land you those pivotal roles that are really going to cement your legacy. So, and Saturn in Capricorn is very much so about legacy. It's very much so about legacy. So this square energy that we're going to have with the sun over to Saturn, at the same time that we have this conjunction happening, at the same time that the moon is going to be quincunxing all this energy and squaring all this energy and sextiling the sun. You see how all these energies are lining on top of each other? This is a very pivotal time of, do you really believe in yourself? Do you believe that you have what it takes to move forward? This is a huge evolution time. This sun squaring over to Saturn, this can be like, you know, I'm going to use a Pokemon reference because I'm allowed to do that. This can be a Charmeleon looking back on his days as a Charmander and being like, you know what? I had it made. I was cute. I was cuddly. The girls liked me. Now I'm in this awkward middle stage, and I want to be a Charizard, damn it. But, like, I had to actually work at this shit. Oh my gosh. Wait, these girls don't necessarily think I'm cute or whatever like that. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm not in my cute Charmander stage. I'm in this awkward, the wallpaper on my phone is Charmeleon, by the way. And it's like, I feel like that's what this energy is. I'm not going to change it to Charizard until the sun hits like probably 20. I don't know. I don't mind doing when it hits Leo, but like, this is sort of like that awkward middle stage where it's like we're sort of like upset that we aren't where we were before, because we were able to do, quote unquote, these roles and fulfill, quote unquote, these I don't want to say guidelines, that's not the word I'm looking for. We were able to fulfill, you know, I guess, these desires and wants. And now we're not going to be able to do those anymore. It's going to kind of run out of its steam. So there's going to be this challenge that comes up. It's like, are you going to push forward anyways? Are you going to move forward? Can't really do and act in the same way that you did before, because you've grown and you've evolved. You know, it simply doesn't work that way, you know? Like, I probably could carry a Charmander. I probably couldn't carry a Charmeleon. I'm probably a little bit harder to do, right? It's kind of like, you know, you have like a little dog bed for your dog, and then the dog grows up and it outgrows the dog bed. You have to get a bigger one. Some people are going to be trying to sleep in that old dog bed. Some people are going to be trying to, you know, fit into those, you know, those old shoes that they grew out of. Even though shoes is really more of a Piscean energy. Or, you know, This is like you're outgrowing. You're outgrowing your former self, and it's okay to outgrow your former self. It can be uncomfortable. Outgrowing your former self can be very uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable. It's like a snake shedding its skin. That's why they say that if a snake sheds its skin, it's super, super sensitive. 20 is a very sensitive degree. And by the way, snakes are actually in part ruled by Aries energy. They're one of the totem animals of Aries, by the way, the cobra. But when a snake sheds its skin, it's super, super sensitive, and it can be even more volatile. So there's an energy here on this day where people can be potentially more volatile because they're shedding away their old self. And now, and if they don't believe in themselves, if they don't believe in their dreams, if they don't believe that if it's possible, and if they're believing all of the shit that people may be giving them, if they're listening too much to that and not paying attention to the positive and the motivational and the uplifting energy, then people can bite back, people can fire back. There can be definitely an energy where a lot of people are just super fucking sensitive. And I mean that in the best way. I mean that in a way where they are unaware that they are going through this shedding and this huge metamorphosis. Huge metamorphosis on this day. Huge metamorphosis on this day. And of course, what's interesting about this day is that this is the day where Jupiter stations retrograde. 24 degrees. Oh my goodness, look where the moon is. 24 degrees. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. I'm not even going to really talk about this one too much because we're going to talk more about this tomorrow. But the fact that that Jupiter stations retrograde at 24 degrees and the moon happens to be opposing it is a perfect example of, do you believe in yourself? Like, do you really believe in yourself, or do you believe in all the hype that everyone else is talking about? Whether it's good or bad, you can believe in good hype that people are talking about, and that can keep you stagnant. That can keep you like stuck. It can be like, say you're an actor and you do this movie and you do a great job, and everyone talks about that movie role for years. They're gonna be like, oh my God, such and so was so great in that movie. The movie came out 10 years ago. And you go talk to these people and you just filmed another movie or show that you feel really great about. You feel really confident about. You did so good. You did such amazing work. And you grew as an actor. You go to talk to some fans and they're talking about your movie from 10 years ago. And you can be like, fuck. Like, I know I did great in that one, but I also was a different person back then. You know, so there can be an element not only where people are trying to bring you down in your belief in yourself, but they can also be just too focused on who you were. That's a danger in of itself. I'm not saying don't take the compliments, but also, humble yourself to the moment and humble other people to the moment. Be like, yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate you, and I definitely appreciate my fans, and thank you so much, and but you gotta move forward towards something. It works that way in music too, right? Yeah, there are certain songs and albums that definitely stand out, but if you get too caught up on that success, you'll never move forward. And if you get too caught up on what other people say about that success, you'll never move forward. It goes both ways. Did I mention that on this day we have a sextile between Mercury and Pluto at 23 degrees? Once again, bringing in this chatty element. 23 reduces to 5. 5 is in numerology the number of Gemini and then the number of Mercury. So Mercury is going to be at a place that it actually likes to be in number-wise. Still in Pisces. It's still in shadow. Still not easy. Sextiling Pluto, nice aspect. Still not easy. Still not easy to deal with. Yeah, there can definitely be a communication with this sort of destruction aspect. And we can even begin to create within our minds a bit of this darkness if we're not careful. But this is also coming off of the moon trining the North Node. So this is not bad. And look, the moon is going to be beginning this square over to Jupiter, which will actually will square Jupiter the following day. In fact, we can go ahead and move it to that. You know, the moon will be squaring Jupiter the following day. Venus is coming off of that conjunction to Neptune, barreling towards 20 degrees. We'll be at 20 degrees very soon. So then we get this squaring energy. So once again, this whole aspect of our beliefs comes up. You know, Jupiter, you know, and Mercury doesn't like to be in Pisces. Mercury doesn't like to be in Sagittarius either. So really, Jupiter is really going to be humbling our minds here, where it's like we can get too caught up mentally in the delusion. And we may even be trying to harmonize and balance things out, you know. But then Jupiter retrograde, this is going to be this first aspect outside of the moon making the opposition to Jupiter that Jupiter has with like a major energy, is this square energy. And it's going to be retrograde, which is going to be this first test of, do we, obviously this is about belief in ourselves, in our journey. And also this is really bringing up this sense of knowledge and wisdom, this sense of knowledge and wisdom. Because here's what happens. When Jupiter is going forward, we're gaining information. When Jupiter goes backwards, we're starting to actually apply the knowledge. You know, when we're gaining information as it's going forward, when Jupiter is going backwards, it's about applied knowledge and wisdom. So this is going to be the first check that Jupiter makes to a planet, where it's talking about how are you going to apply this wisdom. Now that Mercury is moving forward in Pisces, still in shadow, but now it's moving forward. Just got off of all this crazy energy, no sextile energy, to this Capricorn vibe. How are we now going to apply this wisdom? How are we now going to apply this wisdom? 2 + 4 is 6, which is the Libra energy. Yes. This is definitely about rebalancing our communication with the divine. If you tell yourself that you are not worthy, if you're telling the universe that. So this will be another good day. As I said, Tuesday was a good day. This will be another good day on Friday to recheck with yourself about, and it's interesting, I actually skipped Thursday, which is actually a very important day. But this will be a good day to kind of go back to those affirmations and rewrite them out. Or even say that, you know, before I said this and thought this about myself. This served me for a time, but this no longer serves me. Thank you, previous ideology, for serving me. Thank you for what you've done for me. But now it is time for me to release you. And you release it, and then you adopt a new. I want to go back to Thursday because, as you can see, the moon just shot into Cancer. But the reason why I want to go back to this is because this is the day that Chiron comes out of shadow. And even though there's not a lot seemingly happening on this day, this is huge. The moon would have squared Chiron at 2 degrees right before it came out of shadow, and it would have sextile Uranus and Taurus. But the reason why this day is the reason why this day is important is because, as you can see, we have Chiron at 3 degrees of Aries. This is the first time that Chiron has been at 3 degrees of Aries since June 6th of 1968. And if that number, if that year rings a bell within your subconscious or your conscious, there's a reason for that, because the late 60s were fucking intense. And when I look back, like whenever I see, especially these outer planets hitting a degree that they haven't hit in a while, I like to look at what historical dates were happening around that time. And holy fuck, holy shit, guys! The last time that Chiron was here, let's go ahead and just show you all what happened. This fine-looking gentleman right here, you know who he is? That's RFK. June 4th, I think on this one, on the, of course, the Wikipedia page, if it freaking comes up, scroll down. It was, let's see. This says June 5th, 1968. But anyways, June 4th to June 5th, 1968, the last time that Chiron was even here. Robert F. Kennedy, gaining momentum in his presidential campaign, wins the California primary and is assassinated at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles. He was assassinated around this time. It was technically midnight, June 5th, going into June 6th, that he was assassinated. This is the last time Chiron is at 3 degrees. And 3 is a number that is a pure number of Sagittarius energy and Jupiter energy. So that's why all these aspects are happening with the Sagittarius energy and Jupiter energy. Like, this is crazy. This is the last time Chiron was here. What's interesting also is that earlier in that year was also the assassination of MLK, April 4th, 1968. So not even, what was it? Yeah, just 2 months later, we get the assassination of RFK. And MLK and RFK had a lot of, they worked together quite a bit, actually. If you look into the history, they worked together quite a bit for, these civil rights and these social issues, and, bringing together people and bringing together people of all colors, types, creeds, religions. That's what they were into and stuff. And they were assassinated months apart from each other. But like I said, this is just interesting how the last time Chiron was here, and Chiron is the wounded healer, RFK was assassinated. This was several years after his brother was assassinated too. So, and of course, there's a lot of conspiracy around this energy. There's a lot of conspiracy around the Kennedys. I'm sure there are conspiracies around MLK. But I just think it's really interesting. And he was doing well in his primaries too. They pretty much, he had won the California primary, which was huge. And they were thinking that just by him winning that one, he was going to have a really good shot at becoming the president. Yeah, that got ended. That was the last time that Chiron was here. And we can even go back. Let's just go back real quick, if you will, to that date. I can just show you June 6, 1968. All right, so this is 12 p.m. But look, Chiron is here at 3 degrees of Aries. Whoa, Saturn was in Aries at 22 degrees. This is what really set it off for me, because as you can see, the moon was in Libra and it opposed the north node. It was conjunct the south node. So you got to think about this. The north node in Aries can definitely be about championing one's own cause. It definitely can be about that. But if one's own cause is to liberate people and to bring people together, then it's about embracing the individuality and uniqueness of everybody. That can be another thing here. But Chiron was here, so it was tough. It was tough for people to embrace the uniqueness and individuality of everyone. And with that south node being over here in Libra, and that's where the moon was, and that's where a lot of people were feeling, it's like, that's kind of like the dark side of Libra, where it's like trying to create a club, and it's like only these certain people are allowed here, and that was a whole thing. Whites only, blacks only, like whites only here, white fountain, black fountain, as far as like drinking water and stuff like that. The whole South Node in Libra can be this whole energy of exclusivity based off of seemingly non-really important stuff, seemingly just arbitrary things, but then also casting this whole negativity and this feeling of elitism as well. Jupiter was at the end of Leo. We had no Capricorn energy. We had no energy in the last 4 signs at this time. But the last time Chiron was here, Saturn's at 22 degrees. And what's interesting about that is that since it's in close proximity to the North Node, Guess what's at 22 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer right now? The nodes. The north node will be at 22 degrees of Cancer, and the south node will be at 22 degrees of Capricorn. So Saturn, even though this aspect happened in 1968 when Saturn was here, and there was a time where Saturn was here in between this date and now, but the fact that Chiron being at 3 degrees and Saturn just happens to be squaring our current nodes, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this up. That's why I was talking about character assassination. And that's why I pray to God that no one actually gets assassinated, this week. I really do. But there's an element of that defamation of character and that defamation of oh, this is what you believe in, you actually believe in other people. Oh, you actually believe that other people can actually express their individuality and who they are. There's going to be an element where people want to create some sort of exclusivity, and they're going to try and push you out of their club. Honestly, if people are going to be that bit of a dick and bitch, to try and push that on you and be like, if you want to join our club, you got to get rid of that. You got to not wear that. Man, fuck that. That's not a club you want to even be a part of. On the real. On the fucking real. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you wanted to get in with the cool kids and shit like that. You had to do things in order to get in with the clique and stuff like that. Back in those days when you were young, you didn't know any better, so you would do it. But, don't do that shit now. Don't try and fit into a clique just because you think they're cool, or I guess there's you may see some opportunities there. You may be a little opportunistic. You may try and use them as levers to get to where you want. But if their energy, their vibration is not in the right space, if they're not really vibing, in that way, if they're not actually applying their knowledge, which is wisdom, and doing it to create a better world, if they're just doing it all for themselves, fuck that, man. Fuck that. Very interesting how that lined up. When I saw that, I was like, wow. So the last time Chiron came here, RFK was shot. What the fuck? Apparently his bodyguard told him to not leave the room, but RFK left the room and went to the kitchen, and that's where he got shot at the hotel or something like that. It was. I read into it. It was weird. I was like, okay, that does seem a bit conspiracy, going on with that. But I just wanted to show you guys that because I thought it was really fucking interesting. And the sun's going to be where Saturn was on that day. So, and Saturn's going to be really close to where, that's obviously really close to where those nodes are. So there's definitely a link up with that. That's on Thursday. I already discussed Friday. Let's go to, let's see. Yeah, let's go to Saturday. This is going to be when the moon comes into Leo. So yeah, we get the moon coming into Leo. It's going to make that, we're going to get that. Actually, I didn't even discuss that we got the first quarter square that happened here in Cancer. First quarter square of the moon to the sun. It's going to be at 22 degrees. So that 22 is coming up again. And it is happening on top of the nodes. So that's, maybe just show you real fast. But let's see. Come on. Although it's really close to 21 degrees, but it does happen at 22 degrees. So yeah, you get that first quarter square. Friday's going to be a bit of an interesting day because we have all this cardinal energy, and we have this activation of course, the nodes. So Saturn and Pluto are here. The big bad boys are here, and the sun's wanting to be positive and stuff like that. But there can be an energy where it's like, You know, Timmy, sometimes you got to fail in order to get to places, you know, and there may be an element of you that may whine, bitch, and moan about that. But this is really kind of like, you know, you really have to just find that deeper reserves of fire. You have to find those deeper reserves of fire. You really do. I'm going to kind of wrap this up, but the sun is going to make the square over to Pluto on April 13th on Saturday. That's at 4:06 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is while the moon is moving into Leo. So this is an interesting energy. You know, the moon is going to be squaring over to Uranus, beginning to trine Chiron. So this is once again kind of like this check to like you really can't act in the old way, because and Pluto's going to be killing that if it wasn't tempered or killed off by Saturn in the South Node. Pluto's really going to be kind of killing off it, and really this is really going to be what you tell yourself, because this is 2 + 3 and 5, which equals 5, which is, like I said, Mercury, communication. So really this is about Pluto killing off self-loathing talk. Telling yourself that you're not worthy, that you're not worth it, that you can't be this thing. Pluto's really going to be killing that off. And with the moon going into Leo, it's really going to be activating your heart. So this is really about, you know, it's really kind of like, you know, kind of get out of your head and into your heart, and start to establish communication with your heart. It starts to develop better feedback loops of communication. You know, one thing that I've been practicing is just positive self-talk, and you'd be surprised of the feedback loops that you get that would just come up randomly. How if you just talk to yourself positively, even out loud or just to yourself, that you can be in the middle of something, you know, several days or weeks or even months later, and you'll literally will just hear a compliment. Like I literally will just hear, I don't even like consciously think it. It just comes up and I'll just hear a compliment. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. So establishing positive feedback loops of compliments to yourself is like really, really powerful. It's a very positive practice. I highly recommend it. Pluto is going to be killing off this self-depreciating talk of oneself, or it's meant to. It's meant to do that. Sunday, let's just go ahead and move forward to that grand fire trine, because then grand fire trine is going to be happening on Sunday. So we're coming through now. It's been a pretty emotional week, but also a week where you really get to see what you're made of. And then the moon coming into Leo, we get this nice grand fire trine activated. Jupiter is in its home. The sun is exalted. And no, moon in Leo is a nice energy. It really is. So we get this nice trining energy right here at 24 degrees, which is really going to rebalance and reharmonize you, realign you in many ways. But it's a realignment through fire. And this is very powerful because this is meant to burn away any obscenities. This is meaning to burn away any vulgarities that you may throw at yourself or believe about yourself. And like I said, an element of doubt is always going to be necessary, but this is burning away any excess doubt that's going to be, you know, clogging your manifestations. This is going to be a really powerful time on Sunday, mainly because this is the first grand fire trine that we are going to be experiencing since January 21st. And I will show you what happened January 21st, because it's like, oh, really? That was what's going on? So on January 21st, we had a grand fire trine, but leaning up to that grand fire trine, we had this nice, beautiful lunar eclipse at 0 degrees of Leo. So this was the last time that we had the grand fire trine, albeit it built up to being more towards the evening, but this is how that day started off, was with this very powerful, potent lunar eclipse, this full moon lunar eclipse in Leo, which was in the midst of all of those moons that we had at 0 degrees. So we've been getting these for a while. We just actually finished it up because we had the full moon in Libra at 29 degrees, but we also had a full moon in Libra at 0 degrees. We had a full moon in Virgo at 0 degrees, and then we also had this one. So there was a lot of energy as far as holding space, and this lunar eclipse was a huge moment of holding space for our inner child to really be reborn. And so the fact that we get a grand fire trine this upcoming Sunday, it will be a reminder of the grand fire trine that we had on this day, because if you move this forward several hours to more like the middle of the day, you can see that the moon begins to activate. Bam. See, the grand fire trine that happened later on in the evening, with Venus on top of Jupiter, with Mars being over here in Aries and the moon over here in Leo. So it's going to be the first grand fire trine that we have gotten since this date. And January 21st was a magical portal of us really opening up to our inner child and really just feeling that we can do it. Honestly, that's the best way to put it. Feeling that we can do it and we have what it takes to do it, and putting the action forward, and to have fun while we're doing it, and to be joyous, and to not be super heavy. This can be a bit of an emotionally heavy week, but honestly, especially with the moon being in Gemini part of the week and the moon being in Leo, it's not meant to be super fucking heavy. It's meant to be light. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be jovial. There will be challenges, of course. There will be complications. There will be some discomfort. But if you work through that discomfort and you believe in yourself, you're going to come out the other end of this week feeling very much so refreshed. Even though Jupiter is going to be retrograde, you're going to be coming out the end of this week very much so refreshed and renewed and really inspired to move forward. Like I said, since Jupiter is going to be retrograde, we're going into this review period, but it's also about, like I said, that knowledge applied, which is wisdom. So you're going to be gaining a lot of wisdom after this week. Throughout in the middle of this week, and actually throughout the week, you're going to start to actually start gaining a lot of this wisdom and start acting it out. So a week where we are definitely going into this purification through fire by the end of it. And this is meant to be a transformative experience. It's not meant to burn you. This is meant to inspire you. This is meant to ignite you. This is meant to expand you. Even though the planet of expansion is going backwards, perceivably, that's, remember, it's a perception. This is still meant to expand you. Those are the transits. Whoo! So I'm just going to draw. I'm going to just draw one card actually to conclude this, and then we're going to get out of here. I'm actually going to draw. No, I'm going to draw a couple of cards. I'm going to draw one card from. My card's like all messed up. I'm going to draw one card from my Divine Travelers or Sacred Travelers Oracle deck. Anyways, my Sacred Travelers Oracle deck, and I'm also going to draw a color card. So, but let me look at the chat real fast. Oh snap! Chat the Maverick, what's going on, man? How are you doing? Just wrapping up here and stuff, but I hope you all have enjoyed the video so far. I hope you got some type of value out of it. This is going to be, like I said, a pretty intense week as far as this purification through fire, but it's really meant to not burn you. It's not meant to send you to the hospital. It's really meant to, ignite you and push you forward in a very powerful way. And with all these reminders to very potent energies during very potent times, this definitely can bring up some sensitivities. But like I said at the beginning of this, and relating it back to my Instagram posts, the closer you get to something, the tougher it is to see it. So it's like, don't worry too much about making it. Just keep taking that next step. The card that I have, You see that? The card that I have is Journey by Moonlight. Believe in magic. Do you believe in magic? In a young girl's heart. I don't know all the lyrics, but I'm gonna keep singing. It's magic everywhere right now. It's inside of me and inside of you. Believe in the magic of. Anyways, Journey by Moonlight. So follow the moon. I'm glad I got this card because it's like really follow the moon. Wherever Gemini, Cancer, and Leo are in your charts, like there is major transformation going on right there. But it's also the universe is asking you to really believe in the magic of those houses and believe in what can come out of it. I'm gonna draw a color card, and then we're going to get out of here because I need to go feed these animals. And my own cat's gonna be upset because we've been leaving him at home. He's fine though. His bowl is full of food, and he waits for me to come home to give him treats, but won't eat his actual cat food. Right, Leo? I love this cat. I love messing with them. The card that we have is Aqua. Oh, man. Nice. Experience peace and calm. Interesting how this is going to be a pretty fiery and intense week, but this card is a reminder that if you can, kind of bring it back, bring it in. Just imagine yourself by the poolside. Imagine yourself by the poolside. Imagine yourself by the beach. You just hear the rolling waves. Experience that peace and calm. Experience that peace and calm. It's going to be a very intense week, very fiery week, very passionate week, very emotionally driven week. But this is also a week where if you just kind of come back to center, and just chill, relax. The number is 33, by the way. The number is 33 on this card, by the way. So, yeah, astro number. Anyways, that is it for this video. Leo the cat. It's the cat. He's Leo. I hope you all enjoyed this weekly astrology horoscope. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed talking to you all, channeling and having fun. And yeah, just as far as closing thoughts for this video, go out there and make it happen. And don't hold yourself to anyone's timeline. Go out there and make it happen. Don't hold yourself to anyone's timeline. And have fun with it. Make sure, please have fun with it. Have fun with manifestation. Have fun with the journey. And try not to get too frustrated about things because, the universe, your guides, they got your back. They're clapping for you. They're here for you. And you're already crushing it. So just keep doing your thing. You got this. I believe in you. And believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. But anyways, that about does it for this weekly astrology horoscope. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you would like a personal reading with me, beloved, I actually restructured all of my services and added a few more. So if you want to take advantage of that, follow the link in the description below to astrofenixx.com. I would love to speak to you. I would love to have a party with you about the stars. It'd be fun. I really do enjoy speaking to people and engaging with them about their charts. And really, like I said, I learned just as much as you do. Thank you all so much for joining. I really do appreciate it. To all of my subscribers, new, and if you've been here from the get-go, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, join me tomorrow for the Jupiter retrograde video. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be an amazing talk. Cannot wait. But as always, my beautiful brothers and sisters, always remember. Let me go over there. Always remember to keep moving forward. Just stay focused and Yahoo! Gotta catch them all. Smile often.